is going. Whenever you're ready, Travis, we can get
Cool.
started.
So we're going to start off with some kind of general questions, then we'll move to a scenario-based question, and then talk about a few more specific things. Sound good?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm going to start with a few questions. Could you tell me about what you were doing before you joined Europe? Maybe share how you heard about the program and what made you decide to join.
Yeah. Before the program, I was actually in college. I went to Sac State and for a concentration in mechanical engineering. And I was there for 2 years, and unfortunately I wasn't able to finish because I did run into financial issues. And I was forced to move back home. So when I moved back home, I barely had any money left. So I got a job at a movie theater, and while I didn't want to do it at the time, it was really like a blessing in disguise because it's really what led me to Europe. And one of my coworkers actually went through the program, Katrina Martin. She was one of the guest speakers here. And she really told me about the program, and I took a chance on it. I went through the informational session, I talked to So, and it really highlighted things that I agreed upon. Like, the opportunity divide is something real within my community, and I really agreed with it. And this was one of the first organizations to actually even talk about it or do something about it. So I really put my 100% into applying here because of that.
That's great. Thank you. Katrina's one of my favorites. More specifically, why do you want to work in the tech field?
In the tech field?
Yeah.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I always loved technology. And actually, my older cousin and my uncle, they worked closely in IT, and they were in IT, and they were working closely with computers. And they were individuals who I always looked up to, and they always inspired me to do more. So at that point, I was already interested in technology with the 90s boom because they were working in that. And another thing is because I like playing video games, technology, video games, they go hand in hand. And I delved really deep into video games, and I wanted to see how they worked and see how they can see how things work and how they're actually made.
Great. During the learning and development phase, what has been your biggest challenge or growth area, and what did you do to overcome this challenge? Specifically, what will you do to plan ahead and ensure that you're set up for success in internship in that area?
Could you repeat it, please?
Yes, that was a lot of words I just threw at you. So during the learning and development phase, what is a challenge or a growth area that you identified, and what do you plan to do going into internship to really convert on that growth area?
Yeah.
I think I reframed that a little bit better that time.
Yeah, one of the biggest growth areas is actually speaking to people. Going into this program, I was really antisocial. I had a tight-knit group in my own community and my friends, and I really didn't reach out much, and I didn't really think that networking was that important. But I realized that networking is actually what got me here at Europe. So what I did was, during the learning and development phase, was really just step out of my shell, and I did join clubs to help me with my public speaking and talking with people. I am part of the Toastmasters and Student Outreach Committee, and I think that really helped me because it helped me with my small talk and just speaking to people in general and connecting with them. And I think it'll definitely set me up for the future because in internships you will have to speak up a lot, especially if you go to a company like Salesforce where they already have a Toastmasters club there. And I think that doing those clubs definitely helped me with my public speaking skills.
Great. So referring to the internship job description, explain what makes you a strong candidate for that role.
All right. My position I wanted to do is quality assurance. I forgot to tell you guys beforehand. Apologize. And could you repeat the last part?
Sure. What makes you a strong candidate for that role?
Strong candidate for quality assurance? I think I'm a strong candidate because I do have a really good sense of my awareness around me, and I think that really helps with working in teams in general, because I think that quality assurance is something that is so detail-oriented, and if you're not paying attention to the situations around you, you will definitely fall victim to not being a good quality assurance engineer. And another thing is, with quality assurance, I like to create things with my hands, And that's one of the reasons why I decided to be a mechanical engineer. And even though I couldn't complete it, I will combine mechanical engineering with software and really have my hand in developing some software.
Great.
Awesome. All right. So we're gonna move into if I can find my list, there it is. Into a scenario-based question. So I'll give you a scenario and you just tell me how you would handle that situation. So let me find it. All right, so imagine that you are on a help desk team, and your project is to analyze how quickly tickets have been closed over the past 2 months. And ideally what you want to find out is what might have slowed down some of these processes. So you're analyzing how quickly tickets were closed and what might have slowed it down. Tell me, or talk through the steps you would take to complete this project.
And could you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, no worries. It's a long question. You were on the help desk team, and you're given the project to analyze how quickly tickets were closed over the past 2 months, and what might have slowed down this process. So how would you complete this project?
To complete this project, I would try to gather as much information as I can about the ticketing system. I would talk to the people around who were working on those tickets, and I would try to figure out which problems came up the most and see why they were happening and see how long it took them to complete those tickets. And if it's a common problem, I would try to figure out a way how to fix that certain problem that always arises, because I think that would definitely slow down the ticketing system.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can you tell us what you believe is one or two of your greatest strengths that you would bring into a workplace?
To a workplace? One of the strongest things that I would bring to a workplace is my positivity and energy. I think that really brings up the morale of the team, and just being positive and having good energy definitely has a growth mindset into what you can achieve. Because I feel that if someone's like really negative around you, you kind of don't want to be around that person, and you kind of want to just stay away. And I think that would definitely affect the team and the results that they put out. Another thing is my attention to detail. During the coding aspect, I really liked doing the coding, and I was actually one of the few people in my section to go around and help people with their code and just troubleshoot their code, see what was happening, and see what went wrong. And I feel that I was very helpful to a lot of my colleagues in that perspective.
So along those lines, since you mentioned collaborating with others, can you tell me another instance in which you had to work as a group on a project or a task? And how did you decide how to divide the work?
How did I decide to divide the work working in a project? Yeah. A couple months ago, we had to do a business plan project, and what we had to do was create a business or an organization and pitch it to the class. And what we were going to do is a nonprofit organization, which was similar to Year Up, but it was all across the Bay Area. And how I divided the work was I looked at the things that were needed, and I evenly distributed them based on the time I thought that it was going to take for each specific items, and I split it evenly amongst us three. And we ended up being one of the most voted business plans out there. And even though we didn't win, we did still produce a really good and cohesive product that people liked, and I think that it really helped us interacting with each other.
And if you could go back to work on that project, what would you do differently, if anything?
Differently? I would definitely make more meetings and communicate more, because that was one of our growth areas. We weren't communicating as much as we should have, because I felt like I just distributed the work and made us do our own thing. But I feel that if we were communicating more, we would have got the top spot. And I feel that over communication is something that is very important with teams.
Any other questions, or should we move to the tech demo?
Tech demo.
I think tech demo.
Tech demo.
Okay, so Melody's gonna lead you through